Morning, gang. Hey, gang. So we're going through the closers end of day report, commission, and operational guidelines. And this is really important. So as you start to grow a closing team, always start off with your first closer. As a team, because when you bring in a closer to start closing these deals for you, you also probably are coming out of doing closing yourself. So by having both you being a closer in that team and also an actual closer in, you are a team. So remember to run it like that and to put these guidelines. And of course, as you see this, even if you personally are still closing these deals, work to these guidelines as well. They'll help. So this is a nice document. Make a copy of this. It'll be linked below this video, and let me just walk you through it. So let me just put myself in the corner over here. So here's the end of day reporting, commission, and operational guidelines. So first of all, when you're starting to think about so these sort of operational guidelines to start off with. So remind your closers when they finish a closing call that actually it has to have a definitive outcome. It should be either that they buy, book, or die. Remember, we have that buy, book, or die. And so that's the only outcome from a closing call that can happen. So if they buy, great, and handle that payment and get that sorted. If they die, i.e. it's lost, get your closer to make sure they update the notes and say it is actually lost, and nobody spends, including your setting team, nobody spends any more time on that person. If they book, great, then that's when they book a decision call. Make sure that the closer know they have to book that call in the call, and then they align diaries in the call so that it comes out specifically that they booked that decision call. That would be great because one, obviously it happens and it's that booking is closed in the meeting. Two, if they book it through your Calendly or calendar system, then all the text message reminders and email reminders will automatically happen for the booking, which is essential. The second part about this is to remind them that actually putting down, I'll give you a call back to see what you thought, or putting into your CRM to do a follow-up, that's not a decision call. And therefore that doesn't count as actually buy, book, or die. And so therefore that will not be accepted as a conclusion to a closing call. So make that really super clear from the start so everybody is under no kind of ambiguity around exactly what the end of a call should be. Two, remind them that actually after every call to update the CRM. This means that the setters and other people involved in the team can see where it is. Other closers might be able to see where it is, and so there's no confusion on where that deal is. And make sure that they're updating the deal stages. So if you've got a CRM like ours, where at the top it might have different stages like strategy session booked, decision call booked, decision call completed, so they know and they've updated where they are in the stage. This will help your pipeline reporting look better as well. So make sure that your closer does that after every single call. Then make sure they put in an end of day report. And I've actually gone into that in more detail on this document, but just remind them at the end of every day, even if they haven't had any bookings that day, they still need to put together an end of day report, because even if they didn't do a meeting, then that is a report in itself that there wasn't any meetings for them to do. So make sure that your closers produce that and send that. Ours do it on a WhatsApp group, and it sends out on a WhatsApp group, so I can see my setters end of day report, I can see my closers end of day report, and everybody gets their end of day report. Four, make sure you're putting together a weekly, and they update the RTM dashboard. And we say do that at the end of the week. Now, for me, I have Flora that's constantly looking at the data in our meeting, and she's kind of looking after a lot of the sales data. And so she'll take the end of day reports from the closer and actually update our RTM on a day-by-day basis. But we ask our closers at the end of every week on the Friday to go in and double check that the show-ups, closes, and closing rate percentage is correct, because on Tuesday when we have our weekly meeting, which we talk about in the next one, that data is presented. So it's their responsibility on the Friday to make sure that the data is correct as far as they are concerned, right? And then that nicely transitions to number 5, which is the weekly sales team meeting. Now, we do that every Tuesday between 8:45 and 9:15. Why do we do it on a Tuesday morning? Well, Monday I have my buddy meeting, so I like to be able to present my report on a Monday. So it means that the report is always finished Monday morning by Flora, I present it to my buddy. I kind of go through it with her to make sure I kind of think about anything that I might go and talk to my team about on Tuesday, and then I have my Tuesday meeting with the team. And so I like that way because it gives me a little bit of time just to review the numbers before seeing the team. So that's why I do it. You might want to do it Monday morning. So it depends on how you want to do it. But have a weekly meeting where all your closers and setters all come to a meeting once a week. And so although it's not a daily huddle for closers, as far as I'm doing it, I just make them come in once a week. And so that's because I don't want to take up too many of their hours in terms of actually meetings. The sixth part in this is that we want to talk about your weekly sales team training, and actually every single week to do a training or with the closing team. And if they do that training with the closing team, then they can review sales calls. And if they're reviewing the sales calls, then they can do that through Fathom, which is basically like a recording device for your Zoom meetings. And so it's great. It's AI. It means that on Fathom, it's a free tool as well, but it records the meeting, and then you've got AI where you can jump quickly to different questions that have been asked in different sections of a meeting. And so what we do in that weekly sales team meeting is we'll bring the closers up. We'll then ask them, we'll look at some of the meetings that were booked in for the week. We'll randomly pick some, and then we'll go through as a group someone's closing call, and then we'll go through it in different details, skipping and fast forwarding bits to see what the opening was, the closing part was, questions that they might have, if it was successful or not. And we want to review those calls. It's so important each week to review calls and for it to be random. So therefore, every meeting is done to the script and is being closed right and done it in the right way. So that's really a good training exercise, but it also keeps the closer on the straight and narrow in terms of what they should be doing. So those are the 6 guidelines that you want your closers to work to. And then this bit is now talking about the end of day report, the EDOR, right? And so for a closer, it has these 6 sections. 1, how many strategy sessions bookings happens in the week? So that's not how many were booked, that's how many bookings were in the diary for that day. So it might be 4, for example. And then how many showed up is second. And so you can see it's SB and then SUs, that's just show up rate. So how many actually tendered. And then decision calls, that's how many concluded with having to book another call. Deal dead, that's basically how many died, how many losses that we got in the day. And then sales closed, and then day summaries. That's a summary of how the day went. So here's an example, right? So sales bookings would have been 4 for the day. So 4 meetings were in the diary. 3 of them actually showed up. That's SUs. 1 of them went to decision call out of the 3 SUs. 1 DD, so deal died. And then 1 sales closed, SCs, right? And so that's a really great day. So 4, 3, 1, 1, 1, right? Cool. And so the DS, which is the day summary, is good day today. The quality was better, closed a good one, and hopefully the DC will also come in. Will also come in. And so, lots of W's here, lots of I's, lots of L's. Right. So the hope is then that it's a nice little update, and it informs the team, and it means that every single one of those meetings that were showed up was actually worked and has been put into that buy, book, or die, right? And so it means that the one that didn't show up might also then be pushed back to a setter to then rebook. So that should come. And of course, when a closer doesn't gets a no show, it should come back and say, hey, that person didn't show up. So in fact, it should be Bob Smith was the no show, right? Because that would be good. Please rebook. Like that, right? And so that would be the way that if I could do it, that would be the way it should work. And it's not Bod, it's Bob Smith was the no-show, right? And so that's how the communication would work through to the setting team, and then how the day summary works, right? Cool. And then the final thing is to make sure that when you're putting this together as a working document for your closers, just put in there's confirmation of what their closing commission is. Super important. And so really mark that out. So for us, we make sure that we put a guideline for it. So when a closer must be eligible for commission, then the deal has to remain active. So it has to have a DC booked in the diary for it to remain active. So it's either there's an SS booked and you haven't met the person yet, or there's a decision call booked because you have done the strategy session, and so therefore the decision call is in the diary. That means that that deal is alive and kicking, and so therefore it can be closed by you and nobody else. So that is your deal. Even if it comes in randomly in the evenings, it will still go to the closer because the deal is in progress. It is an active deal. There's a DC in the diary. If there's like a follow-up for a couple of months, it's not even a decision call, it's like a task or whatever it is, that means you are no longer associated with the deal, or the deal was lost, and then someone comes around and resurrects it and actually closes it, then the commission won't be due to the closer. It will go to the person who closed it, who came back in and got that and scooped it up. So it just shows that you need good admin to keep that going. Cool. And then for us, this is just how we work with our closers. Commission is calculated as 10% of the value of the deal when paid in full. So if someone pays their, say, $5,000, then the closer is going to get 500 quid because that's the 10%. Alternatively, if it's a monthly structured basis, then we would pay the commission on the first monthly payment. And so that would tend to be, again, just a flat commission of 500 because it just helps with just complete clarity on if it's monthly, it's 500 and it's 10% of its full. So basically it's 500 both ways in how we work in terms of commission, but somebody might want to do that in different ways. So that's it. So that's the guideline. So download that, edit it to be right for your closers, and then make sure that they're completely aware of it, and that's your working document. Cool, gang. Hope that helped, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye now.